We might actually be around a month away from all of this stuff being confirmed or discredited for real, because iPhone 13s are right around the corner. What I'm trying to say is this video might age like a very fine milk, which is not exciting, but we just don't really know for sure over the next 30 days what's going to happen, and Bloomberg is reporting some pretty massive iPhone 13 Pro camera improvements that have my gears turning, and I have a lot of questions. Let's begin. I think what got me most excited about this report was not portrait mode video, basically having the ability to take videos with your iPhone and then using AI and machine learning, a 15 chip will be able to scan the footage, blur the background of those videos so that suddenly it looks more, I don't know, cinematic? It looks more DSLR-like? That sounds interesting in itself, but also the other part of this report is that the Pro iPhones will be getting ProRes video support, similar to Apple giving just the Pro RAW functionality last year. This means that they would be bringing a lot of that, not exactly raw functionality to video, but much higher bitrate, much less compressed video formats than what we've had in the past. This would definitely fill up the storage on your iPhone a lot faster, so if they are bringing ProRes, I would absolutely recommend you getting higher storage configurations out there. But a huge complaint I actually had with the iPad Pros this year was that even with iPadOS 15, Apple had intentionally chosen to not support ProRes, which is a video codec that Apple themselves came up with. It's the video codec my Blackmagic cameras record with that I do these videos on, and I was hoping to edit a whole tech video, or at least some kind of video, using my Blackmagic cameras and then importing them into my iPad, and it felt really stupid to me that Apple's own video codecs were not supported on Apple's own hardware. Like, they had complete control over everything from end to end, the video codec, the OS, the hardware, and all of a sudden it's like, nope, this isn't supported on iPad. But now Bloomberg's saying ProRes support is coming to the iPhone, which I might be getting too ahead of myself, but I think that means they would also have to bring it to the iPad simultaneously, right? iPadOS is basically just a reformatted version of iOS, but the sad part is iPadOS does take away a few things like the calculator app and the weather app, plus being able to look at things like battery health on the iPad is still not there and that type of thing. So there's a bunch of random things that the iPhone can do that the iPad can't. There is a few things the iPad can do that the iPhone can't, but that list keeps shrinking every single year. And since ProRes video would be something that Apple would likely want you to sync with iCloud photos and that type of thing, I can totally get why Apple might have to bring ProRes to the iPad, because they don't want you to be able to record certain types of videos that can only be viewed on an iPhone, but they can't be viewed on an iPad or anything else. Although I think with Dolby Vision, they've done similar things like that in the past. Overall, though, it does give me hope that iPad Pros might actually be able to support Apple's own video codecs later this year, but I don't know if that completely redeems the iPad for me. It's honestly far too late, and there was still a ton of changes lacking within iPadOS, but finding out that Apple might put a huge emphasis on the Pro cameras this year does get me pretty excited, because simply for 120Hz refresh rate, I was interested in getting the Pro Max. I stand by my claim that as long as these iPhones do not have 120Hz, I will not upgrade to them. So if they do have them, I'm getting them regardless. But if there's portrait mode video thrown in at the last second too, that does get me somewhat interested, because I've seen Android phones with this feature in the past, you know, where you have a computer analyze the footage and use the time of flight sensor or 3D scanner best it can to blur out the backgrounds, and most of the time it works okay. You know, if you look at the viewfinder when you're trying to take a portrait mode photo, you can see that the blurring of the background is not super smooth, and that's why it likely doesn't work super well in video format. They do have kind of a portrait mode for FaceTime, but it's like Zoom. It's like the very most basic form of portrait mode. It literally just finds the face and then essentially blurs everything else. It does not look super cinematic. You can try your best, Apple, to make your cameras look better or make things look slightly more DSLR-like, but at the end of the day, you can still obviously tell it's a webcam, and there's certain amounts of detail that is just lost when you're trying to guess a lot with computational videography and you're working with such small sensors and such small lenses. There's only so much trickery that can really be done, and because Apple hasn't quite attempted this with the iPhone camera before, I'm very interested to see if they can pull it off, if they can get portrait mode video better than anyone else ever has, because so far I haven't seen an implementation of it that is really convincing or that looks as good as a real camera would. Although, of course, I would love to be proven wrong in this territory, because I think that video on on the iPhone has always been one of its most crucial strengths that sets it apart from everybody else. And there's a lot of rumors that the Pixel 6 is going to have a big emphasis on video performance this year, and now it's going to be rocking ultra-wide standard and telephoto lens, so it's going to be going right up against iPhone competition. And I think Google is getting a bit more serious about not just having great picture quality but also great video, so Apple might want something on their side to give them another leg up on Google and have a bunch of exclusives that really cannot be achieved without the A15 chip. And perhaps maybe the Lidar sensor could actually be used for something that people have a plan on utilizing. For the longest time, Lidar has been just kind of a joke for me. It's just been thrown on Apple hardware for the sake of, the Measure app is slightly more accurate, but it's really not that good anyway. And it's slightly more helpful for autofocus in low light situations, but it really doesn't make that big a difference. Unless you're into any type of specific 3D modeling software, then Lidar is just kind of redundant and unnecessary. But if they started bringing this feature of saying, using the Lidar sensor, we can accurately blur the background of your videos so that, you know, ProRes supported video with the blurred background looks extremely cinematic and it looks like you're filming with a professional grade camera, but it's just an iPhone, then I would be like, okay, I have a real use for the Lidar sensor now. Because in its current state, I tried it out on several Apple products and none of the features they could demo with Lidar made me think, man, I really need this. Might be the year that officially changes. And I have this theory bumping around in my head that year after year, Apple puts a bigger emphasis on, you know, the entry-level iPhones, and then another year they do it on the pro-end iPhones. You know, I feel like in 2019, the iPhone 11 was cool. It was just kind of slightly better, but then they got all these great battery life improvements on the Pros. They gave them the fast charging brick for 1 year, and of course the ultra-wide camera. So it felt like the Pro year was the emphasis of 2019, and then in 2020, there was more of an emphasis on the entry-level iPhones. They finally got OLED. They got an extra size option now. Sadly, that didn't go too well, but the Pro iPhones didn't feel that different. You know, the Pro Max was just slightly bigger, and the 12 Pro has so many similarities with the 12, so I feel like year after year, Apple kind of flops back and forth on what their biggest emphasis is on for the year. Not that one iPhone doesn't get upgraded. They all get improvements, but one just gets more than the other, and I feel like 2021 is going to be the year of the Pros, where more attention is devoted towards them, and then next year it'll be more attention devoted towards the entry-level models. But I'd love to hear your guys' theories, whether or not you believe these reports about the camera having all these advanced features. Does it get you more excited? Is this the type of thing that would get you to upgrade? Feel free to let me know. This is your Apple Sheep here. I'll see you guys in the next one.